You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
RV kitchens are compact, busy spaces, and that can make cooking a little more challenging and sometimes a little less safe. In this episode, we talk with firefighter and inventor Eric Leblanc about a product inspired by two heartbreaking pediatric burn calls. He developed Angel Guard Cookware, a system that locks pots and pans to the stove to help prevent tip-overs. It's an interesting conversation about kitchen safety, innovation, and solving a problem most of us never realized had a solution.
Hey, Eric, thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Angel Guard Cookware?
Yeah, hi guys. Thanks again for having me on. So my name's Eric Leblanc. I'm a firefighter of nearly 20 years. I'm a husband and father of 3, 11, 8, and 3-year-old. And I responded on a couple really bad 911 calls that I'm sure we'll get in later that led me to invent and then manufacture our cookware that we're going to be talking about today.
We're going to jump right into it, actually, Eric. And the problem you were trying to solve when you created Angel Guard Cookware was the result of a couple of 911 calls. Can you kind of explain that a little more?
Yeah, so it was around dinner time, the first 911 call that came in. It was a pediatric burn. We showed up and this 3-year-old little girl had pulled down a pot of boiling soup directly onto her face. And the mom had said she just looked away for a second to help another child. And it happened. It was a horrific scene, as you can imagine. And we had to airlift her to the burn center. And then 12 hours later, I was waiting to go home, waiting for my relief to show up. And we responded on an 18-month-old little boy. This little boy had brought his step stool over and reached up and grabbed his bottle of milk that was sitting in a boiling pot of water and slid the whole thing forward down on his lap. And we had to airlift him to the burn center. And both calls were just something that sticks with me to this day. But most importantly, sitting in the back of that ambulance on that little girl and doing what we could, waiting for the helicopter to arrive. Just looking across, and her mom was in the back seat with us, and just seeing the look on her face and the pain she was holding back, trying to be there for her daughter. That is really the driving force behind the last years of developing this product and why we're so passionate about our mission. And it's something that'll stick with us forever. And I hope after this podcast, I think, your listeners will have a better understanding of the real concern I have with cookware and this huge problem in the industry that I just stumbled upon.
Now that we know the background, can you kind of tell us the problem you saw and what your product does to fix that problem?
So after those 2 911 calls, I was about to be a dad myself for the first time. And so it was just on my mind a lot. I went home and I started researching, and all I could find out there were safety messages to either turn the handle sideways or use a back burner. And I just kept thinking that little girl, she pulled the side of the pot down, and then that little boy grabbed his bottle of milk. And I just knew I had to come up with something. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so what I came up with is cookware that actually locks into the burner grate, securing it. So if it gets knocked, hit, pulled, it's going to stay place. Yeah, that's essentially it in a nutshell.
You mentioned the cookware that locks into place. I'm curious, do you have to develop a certain grate or cooktop that goes along with that locking cookware?
Yeah, so we've created a cooking safety platform. It's our cookware that comes with a safety stem. That's what we call it. It connects to the bottom of the cookware by a simple quarter turn. And then our burner grates that we're selling as a kit, these burner grates have an oval opening directly above where the flame is. And so you simply sit the cookware down. Our safety stem goes into the grate, and you quarter turn and you lock it in place. The whole process takes under 30 seconds, and we wanted to keep it simple because it is an extra step that we're not used to when we cook, obviously. So we wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So the safety stem, simple quarter turn, that's locked in, and then you lock it into the burner grate. And really, when I think about that extra step, it's similar to when seatbelts became a thing in a car. It's an extra step. And just putting your kid in a car seat or putting a helmet on your child. These are all extra steps that we've gotten used to over the years. It's just cookware. We've never had the ability to lock in the cookware until now. And once you see it, you understand why cookware should be in. It's just something we've never thought about.
It's never been an option before.
It hasn't. And, after doing the research, we've been cooking on ranges for about 500 years, just us as humans, in civilization, not the pot over the bonfire. This leading cause of burns to children under 5 in the entire world has been scald burns. Tipping cookware accounts for around 40% of that. And so it's a huge problem in the industry that I just stumbled upon on those 911 calls. And our mission now is to solve that problem. And we think we've done it in a way that's not going to disrupt the cooking atmosphere.
And I think, Eric, before we start recording, you said that it is so secure that you could actually pick up the grate and turn it sideways in the pot and pan, stay in place. They still can't slip out of the locking position, even if you were to turn the grate and completely sideways. Is that right?
That's correct. It's actually one of my favorite things to do when I'm actually showing it to people. I tell them the story. I tell them, the safety stem locks in. I lock it in the burner grate. I pick up the burner grate and I tip it forward and it stays there. And seeing people's reaction is become one of those things I look forward to at trade shows or any events that I'm actually showing the product to people.
In an RV, you could have a couple of different models or manufacturers, stoves or cooktops. Is it pretty universal, your cooktop, that you would replace, I guess, do you replace their existing cooktop or is it something that's added on?
So, yeah, in the RV industry, there are a handful of different variations. But what's good for us, our burner grate, the single burner grate covers about 5 out of the top 7 selling ranges out there. So our goal is to cover all of the grates out there. And that may be 3 or 4 SKUs. That's one of the reasons that we're launching in the RV industry first. The reception has been great from companies and just OEMs. Conversations have been really good. In the RV industry, kitchens are tighter. It's typically families. You brought the dog along, and it's just more possibility of an accident happening. And so, yeah, we're launching in the RV industry, but we see this going to the home side of things, home appliances, the marine industry. I'm talking with them. The marine industry has these little fingers that will kind of hold a cookware from going sliding. It's for like sailboats when they pitch over, they're on a gimbal, I think it's called. But it's an archaic looking thing, and it still doesn't lock the cookware in. It simply just holds it from that lateral sliding. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. The burner grate, like I said earlier, we're hoping to cover all of the ranges. We're starting with the 17-inch and 21-inch burner grate, the 3-burner burner grate currently.
And Eric, is this something that you see being installed by the manufacturer, or is this something that you're looking or leaning more towards like an completely aftermarket where a consumer would purchase? I feel like if it's in the RV already, it just makes it easier for the end user, but maybe you have a different take on that.
No, I completely agree. And I've been speaking with the OEMs for the range manufacturers, and that would be ideal. So our grate comes standard with the range, and then the end user can decide whether they want to purchase our cookware that will now lock into that grate. If not, the customer can simply use their current cookware on our burner grate. Our burner grate's flat like all the others. The other great thing is the cost is identical, if not a little lower than the current cost of the grate to the manufacturer. So it would be a win-win for everyone, I feel. The common feedback I've gotten, and I've ran with it, I think we can always learn and evolve and take different angles. Is from the OEMs, they want to see end user interest. And that's what we're doing here on this podcast. And thank you guys again for having me on. I'm working with other influencers to get the word out there, get the product out there. We are going to be available on our website. By the time your listeners are hearing this, the website will be launched. Our cookware is a 7-piece cookware. It comes with 3 pieces of cookware. It's weird in the cookware industry. They call it a 7-piece, but it's only 3 because they count the lids and all that. So I've learned a lot about cookware over the last years, as you can imagine. So anyways, ideally, yes, it comes from the OEM. That would be great. And just put it on the customer whether they want to purchase the cookware or not.
Okay. And I totally agree with what you said earlier too. Like an RV a lot of times can be like a fast-paced lifestyle. It's also very small inside. Like you don't have a lot of room to work with. Accidents are going to happen. Like I think maybe even more so in an RV than possibly even in a standard, a home that doesn't roll down the road. You're not always level when you set up camp. You could be off level, which could even increase the risk of a child being able to slide something towards them. It could work in their favor that way. So I think this makes total sense in the RV world, but even more sense, I didn't even think about boating, Eric, when you're on a surface that's never flat, that's never nice, even and still. Yeah, I didn't even think about boating. And, in the RV world, boating and RVs use a lot of the same appliances. They use a lot of the same manufacturers and things like that. So I feel like that's a pretty natural progression to go with there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel the same. And those conversations are going well. And hopefully that's the next industry we launch in. I want to mention, with the RV, the limited space in kitchens, just like boats, a real popular thing with the cookware in the RV industry is nesting. Like they all stack together. Our cookware does that. One of the influencers says, well, shoot, I think it's great because it doesn't take up any cabinet space. You could literally lock the whole set onto the burner grate and drive down the road.
That's a key feature right there, Eric. You might be surprised. I mean, for RVers like ourselves, the storage is high up on the list when you're shopping for an RV. How much storage does it have? Because you're trying to pack your entire life sometimes into a 25-foot vehicle. So the fact that the cookware wouldn't take up a drawer or a cabinet, that's huge. Really is huge. I mean, that's a big deal.
I fully understand that the wife and I and our 3 kids and 2 dogs, we moved into our 5th wheel for about 11 months while we built a home. We understand the storage aspect. And then also with our cookware, we wanted having cookware that was easy to clean. And so, because there's no dishwasher. And so our cookware that we've cooked with for years, just that we chose before we started our own cookware line, was a ceramic coating. There's a lot of toxins out there. We chose the ceramic for the health of us and our kids, and it's easy to clean. And so our cookware we're going to be offering is a ceramic coating. We will be launching a stainless steel as well. So yeah, we fully understand the life in an RV. And additionally, before our 5th wheel, we had a Class C RV. And one thing that drove me nuts, because, you got the kids in the back, the wife's trying to keep them calm for the long road trip, but all the vibrating sounds that you hear of things clinging together. So we elected to put a rubber seal around our lids. And so when everything's stacked together, you don't hear that vibration. So
that's clever. In terms of the cookware and your grate, is there any like special maintenance that you have to do to maintain that ability to connect the pans or the cookware to the grate? Is there any like maintenance that the user has to do to keep that working fine, or is it just works?
Yeah, so our safety stem that locks into the burner grate, it is, it's very basic. That's the beauty of this product. Everything's very basic. There's not too many moving parts. It's a mechanical lock. So, like anything, if something gets gunked up, you might want to clean it, but it should work just fine throughout the years. Everything is dishwasher safe. The cookware also is induction safe. So if you use this in your RV and the locking mechanism in the RV, and we're not available in the home industry yet, you could bring that in and use it on your electric induction ready cooktop. That is another avenue we will be exploring soon. I'm talking to engineers currently because we have a patented locking system for the glass top as well. And so that way all ranges are covered. And, my hope is in the future when we look at cookware that doesn't lock into the range, we kind of relate that to seeing an old car without seatbelts. It's like, gosh, can you believe we did that before?
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
Do you know around about how many calls or how many injuries are related to burns? Is this, I guess I'm asking, how common are burns for in the kitchen?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's why I love statistics, right? I mean, you go on and you look at all this stuff. So annually, there's about 500,000 burns, pediatric burns, that are admitted to the emergency rooms every year. And the scald burns account for around 40% of those. So it's a big thing. And that doesn't account for the ones that don't go to the ER. Obviously, those ones are probably more severe. And the industry with the induction is great because once you remove the pot, that surface isn't hot anymore, right? And so it removed that protects kids from getting a touch burn. But if you look at statistics, scald burns versus touch burns, it's 2 to 1. So it's twice as likely of someone getting a scald burn than a touch burn. And so the industry is trying to get away with a touch burn, do away with that. And now our cookware will lock in and prevent those scald burns from happening as well.
Okay, interesting. And they are just pediatric numbers.
Those are pediatric numbers.
Wow. That's a much larger number than I was expecting, Eric.
And that brings up another thought. Thank you. So these scald burns are really bad in pediatrics. They are also one of the top causes of burns to adults and seniors. So it's not just the kids, it's tipping cookware. And over the years, when I've talked to people, not everyone, most people have their own story of an incident that happened to them, or they know someone that it happened to over the years. And a common thing I hear is, why isn't this already out there? And it's like, well, it is now. So.
And this takes time, as you know, right? I mean, from the time that you thought of this idea to today, how many years are we talking?
Gosh, well, my daughter is 11 now. So it's been 11 years from the submittal of the patents to where we are now. And we're there. We're launching. It's an exciting moment for us, for me personally. Because over those years, I have gotten text messages and phone calls from other firefighters because I've worked at 3 different departments. So there's a lot of people that know what I'm trying to do and the problem I'm trying to solve. And I've gotten a lot of calls or text messages saying, hey, your cookware would have saved this call we just went on. And so every time I get those text messages or calls, it just gives me more motivation to keep going because I'm bootstrapping this from the ground up in my garage. But we're excited to be where we are. And I'm very excited to get that first comment or review or just email from a future customer saying, hey, this prevented my child from a severe burn. Thank you so much. And once that happens, it's all the work and effort that's been put into this is going to be well worth it.
Speaking of the work that you put into it over the past 11 years, what did you think was the hardest part of the process?
Oh, that's a great question. The patents, that's the first, I had this idea and then learning how to go about getting a patent. And thankfully, I was introduced to my good friend now. He's done all my patents. He's helped me along the way there. So that was one hurdle we got over. And now you receive the patent from the government. And you're like, oh, this is great. Well, what do I do with this now? So researching on what companies and trying to find who the parent company is for the right person to reach out to. And then making those phone calls and emails and trying to get follow-ups from those companies was probably the most difficult. I imagine they get hundreds of phone calls a month, maybe, about new products. And I feel like, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like ours is a little better than a new flavor of cookie or something like that. Like this is something big that can prevent these injuries from happening. So, anyways, yeah, that was probably the most difficult is just reaching the right person, get it in front of them, and seeing if there was interest. If there was no interest, that's great. I'll move on. But I just wanted to check them off the list, and that's still been a challenge. But I've made contacts, and the conversations I've had with the OEMs I have been able to get a hold of have been great. And the product is loved. We're just hoping for that end user interest, and we'll put it out there, and hopefully we'll become an OEM product here in the near future.
Did you do all the design work yourself, or did you have engineers or other people that helped you do the design?
That's a great question, and a long story. I'll try to keep it Reader's Digest version, if you will. So I had this idea, right? We'll put a safety stem, we'll lock it into the cookware, and I knew there was a space between the burner grate and the burner cap that spreads the flame. And so just trying to figure that out. I got a hold of an engineer, we worked together, and I went and bought a piece of cookware that I thought may work. And we milled out that piece of cookware, and it took us 3 or 4 tries, but we finally got the depth right and got the stem to connect right. And then I eventually started working with an OEM, and we designed the burner grate to fit the 17-inch and 21-inch three burner range. And so that burner grate is the one we have today. The cookware, I just researched, most common cookware sets, and that's how we developed the size of the pot and everything like that. And the nesting and the removable handle. We wanted to, be a premier cookware also, but we're selling a safety platform. It's more than just, we're a cookware company. So our sets will come with the burner grate as well. And so it's just like one package shows up and you're good to go.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be one of my questions was how do you get the burner grate? But you're going to sell the burner grate along with the cookware.
Yeah, and if you wanted, so say, I don't know, say you get a new coach and the people buying it want the grate because they want to buy the cookware, then you can buy the grate separate and take your cookware with you. So it'll be a separate line item on our website.
And then you also just mentioned too, Eric, that you can disconnect the handles. So if you did want to stack them and pack them in a drawer, you don't have to try to play Tetris with the handles. All the handles are removable?
Yes. Yeah, they're removable, and we didn't reinvent the wheel as far as cookware and the removable handle. We just did some research and found out what it seemed the RV industry liked, the nesting, the handles that are removable. So we went with that.
Okay. And Eric, we didn't ask you earlier, but I guess I can ask you now. You have help putting this together. You had an engineer, you had somebody helping you with the patents. Are you the sole owner? Do you have partners?
I am. My wife and I are the CEOs. We're marketing department. We're the sales department. We're doing it all. And, as far as marketing, again, I really appreciate you guys having a platform for people like me and my wife in our position to come on and talk about this really cool product that's coming out and just getting the word out there. So thank you again.
Yeah, of course.
I know the release is coming, Eric, but you've already won some awards. Can you talk a little bit about those awards that your product has already received?
Yeah, great question. So we have won some awards over the years, and there were big milestones for us, especially early on, because when you have an idea that come to you, you get the patents, and obviously you think it's great, it's going to change the world, and you have all these visions for it, but you don't know how it's going to be received. So we reached out to the Edison Awards and we submitted the product. Edison's World Awards is a worldwide competition. And that year, I was told there was around 7,500 products submitted. And we were notified that we were going to finish top 3. So my wife and I flew out to Fort Myers, Florida, and we went to the gala, and we ended up winning gold in our category. So that was probably the first moment where, it was like that milestone. We're like, okay, this is great. People are receiving this. They see the problem out there. And then shortly after that, I finally had our prototype of the cookware that came in from our manufacturer. And we bought a booth at KBIS, which is Kitchen and Bath International Show. And so we flew out to Florida. It was a big investment for the wife and I. We went out there and had a booth for the week, and we ended up winning the People's Choice Awards, which we got pulled up on stage. We were able to talk about the product and show the product. It was a really, just one of those moments, it's like, okay, here's more validation for the product. Soon after that, we ended up on Shark Tank. I'm not sure if we talked about that earlier, but the sharks loved it. It was definitely a Shark Tank. Like, they're no joke, and I had to be on my A game. But we ended up receiving 2 offers, and one was higher than what I was asking, and we did a handshake deal on the show, and it's excited to see where that's going to end up as well. So, yeah, so those are the awards over the years that we've won. Again, I guess like winning any award, you just look back at all the work that it took to get there, and you're kind of a little bit of proud of yourself and for the product, and to see where it is now. It's all part of the experience and part of our story as a company, and I'm glad I can share that with your listeners.
Yeah, and I think it also, like you said, validates the need for this product, and it validates like what you thought of is actually a necessary thing.
Yeah, it brings up a great point. Like, this fear of cookware falling on your kids is real in all of us parents. It's something that's maybe not in the forefront of our brain when we're cooking, but it's definitely there because we've never had a way to secure it. One bump and the cookware is going. The stories I've heard over the years, a book falling from the cabinet above the cooktop and hitting the pan and splashing hot oil on the 14-year-old son, and a dog tipping the cookware over. This woman's robe caught the handle and pulled hot water. I've heard so many of these, and we've just never had that sense of like security or safety in the kitchen, which I'm not saying Angel Guard is going to take that out of our minds. We should always want safety around cooking. It's just like fastening your seatbelt when you go in a car to drive. It's just there in case something happens. And so I hope our product makes kitchens safer in all industries. Wherever cooking's taking place, they should be locked in. There's no reason why a boiling pot of spaghetti noodles should just be sitting up there for any length of time. I didn't know this, even as a firefighter, that our skin will suffer 3rd-degree burns at around 140 or above. And water boils at 212. And cooking oils are in the 350 range. And so a pot of boiling water sitting there, that's a real big issue if something happens to that cookware.
What would you consider to be your biggest hurdle at this moment?
Well, I'm sure like most companies that are starting off, most entrepreneurs, you get to a point where my wife and I, we want to maintain 100% ownership of this. We call it our baby. And to get the marketing, to get out there, it takes money. And so a lot of companies end up selling off shares of their company to get that money to put towards marketing. And, I just keep going back to platforms like you guys have created. And I really see the benefit in having this one-on-one discussion with owners and inventors like we are having now. And that is probably the future of marketing, to be honest with you, because it's a more honest understanding of the product, where it came from, where you think it's going. And I think that relationship with the customer is huge. That's probably been the biggest hurdle is like, I'll reach out to people that are interested and they want to help. And it's like, okay, this is my retainer. And it's like, oh shoot, we don't have that. Father, firefighter of 3, and just, like all of us trying to make ends meet and then push this forward. So that's probably been the biggest hurdle. But on the flip side of that, I do have people that are helping me for free because they see the benefit of this, and they're friends and family. but they're not asking for anything. Like our website's getting built right now by this girl that's just loves the cause. And so, yeah, two sides of that coin.
Okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that you have a lot of people in your corner as well. I'm curious also, Eric, like I think this is a product that is probably best explained, and this isn't taken away from our podcast at all, but I think this is a product that is best explained like in person where somebody can really see how it works, touch materials. You know, I'm a visual learner myself. And you mentioned KBIS. Have you gone to or do you plan to go to any RV shows, RV Hershey show, the Tampa show, or even just local shows that are there in your hometown in California?
Yeah, so 2027 is going to be a big year for us. We are hoping to be at all of the RV shows within our area. I'm in Southern California, and which is a great place to be in the RV industry. They do a lot of things. So that's the goal. Currently, we don't have inventory, so we're going to be doing a pre-order on the website. And once we hit X amount of orders, we'll be able to order the shipment from our manufacturer. They said they wouldn't do less than 800, so that may be our mark. And whoever gets in first will get a discounted price. And then they'll be a part of our first production run, which is very excited to say out loud. So yeah, we're hoping once we get sales and we get capital, we can actually purchase a container full of these and then travel with those and get the word out there at the RV shows as well. And I love talking to people. I like I said earlier, I love showing them how it works. And you're spot on where it's a visual thing. It takes 10 seconds for me to show you, and your mind is just like, oh my gosh, why aren't we locking cookware in?
Right. So doing shows and things like that are obviously going to be time consuming. Would it be you personally going to these shows? Will you be at a point you're 20 years into your career? Will you be at a point that you'll be retiring soon and then you'll be able to take this on full time?
Yeah, the plan is definitely for me to be at these shows. I love interacting. I think the story behind the product is powerful. Hearing these real life accounts that I saw myself, I think that holds a lot more weight than hiring someone to work the booth and everything. As far as when I would be retiring, I have about 11 years left until I'm eligible to retire. And so that would be the plan. But our schedule is flexible where I can do trades with another firefighter. And so I can alter my schedule somewhat and make it all work.
So you have some flexibility there. You could be away for a weekend because trade shows are in the RV world anyway. They're typically 3 to 4 days for the most part.
Yeah. And again, I love the trade shows. I think the people that show up there are wanting to have a good time. They made the trip and see what cool products are coming out. I definitely see the benefit in that.
And nowadays too, not only will you get the in person, but you'll get, I'll put in quotes, influencers probably walking by, taking video. So then it'll kind of naturally spread on its own as well.
Yeah, I see the influencer route and podcasts. It's invaluable. The marketing teams out there for these OEMs, and from someone who started a business from scratch, it's a big deal. It's probably a big budget for these large companies, and being able to come on a podcast or have an influencer make a video about it, it's just huge for someone like me. We do have a video coming out by an influencer that's very well known. I won't mention his name. He actually dropped a little 1-minute conversation about the cookware and the safety platform on one of his RVs recently. And the comments on there were great. And it was just another moment where we were kind of validated in the product by reading the comments. So
You've mentioned the website a couple of times, Eric. First, can you mention what the name of the website is, how people can get to it when it's ready? And also, will there be like a video demonstration or anything like that on the website so people can see actually how it works?
absolutely. Our website is angelguardcookware.com. And then you'll see our original concept video that the Children's Burn Foundation helped us create. And then you'll also see the video. I'm actually in my turnout pants. It's the video that we submitted to Shark Tank with our application. And in that video, you'll see all the awards I have up there just to, just to show off, I guess. I'm proud of them. But yeah, definitely. Because again, it's more of a visual thing. And once you see it, it makes sense. I know on the podcast, it may be hard for listeners to visualize it, but yeah, once you see it, it's really easy system, and hopefully it becomes the standard in kitchens around the world.
And we can link out to it as well in our show notes. If for anybody listening right now, if you go to our show notes, we'll link out to any videos or photos that Eric can provide for us, and you guys can see them as well. That episode of Shark Tank, has it aired yet? Is that live?
Yeah, so it was season 15, and the Shark Tank process it's really cool. It's really lengthy, and it was about a 7-month process. And when we got off, they were very specific. They said, hey, not all companies that made it in front of the sharks will air. There's about 60 to 80 companies that they see, and then they whittle that down to maybe roughly 20. And so the promo came out for season 15, and I was on the promo, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is great. It's going to happen. And unfortunately, I got a call from the producer saying it wasn't going to air. And they told us that the sharks and the show are completely separate. The sharks are looking for great products and great deals, and the show is looking for good footage for the show. And so that's why on there you see sometimes a product, you're like, why did this make it? But there was a little drama or something. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it was a great experience. And that handshake deal I did with one of the sharks, like I said earlier, it's excited to see where that's going to end up.
There are frequent RV fires. I see them almost every week in the news. Do you have any advice as a firefighter for people with RVs on how to keep them safe in terms of fire risk?
Absolutely. So one of the leading causes of house fires is kitchen fires. And one of the leading causes of kitchen fires is this tipping cookware. You get some oil that knocked over, and now that's on fire. And so if that happens, they say put a lid on it. Don't put water on it, because oil and water don't mix, especially when they're hot. So again, just tying it back into Angel Guard. If our cookware is locked in and someone bumps it, it's not going to slosh around everything. It's going to be secured where you set it. The other thing that wasn't mentioned, I don't even think I brought it up. One of the questions over the years we've had at the trade shows or just talking to people is, what do you do for the family style meal nights where there's a big pot of spaghetti on the table and everyone scoops out of it? And so we thought about that, and we created a trivet, a hot pad. And this hot pad, you can lock our cookware in. So say you did a big pot of spaghetti, you would unlock it from the grate on the range and walk it over to wherever that hot pad is and lock it in there as well. So just listening to the consumers and potential customers and going with that.
So you don't have something that you can set on the table and then lock the pot into there. So you're thinking down the line for more products or more accessories, I guess, for Angel Guard as well.
Absolutely. We have it all lined out. We're launching what we are on our website, and that's that 7-piece cookware set with a replaceable burner grate. But in the future, we're going to have a trivet for those family styles. And then eventually, hopefully the marine industry, commercial kitchens. It was at a trade show, that KBIZ trade show, that I won the People's Choice Awards. I had 2 OSHA representatives come up, and they said, hey, we were told to come check out your product. So I showed them it. We talked, and they said, yeah, this has a good possibility of becoming an OSHA standard, like a law, where restaurants have to have locking cookware. And because they said a lot of the workman comp claims are cookware that gets knocked over or tipped off, and these people suffer these burns. I had a friend that worked at one of the large restaurants in town, and she said the soup just sits on the burner grate, just simmering all day. There was one time she was walking by and another worker was walking by, and they had to kind of squeeze to make it through this area, and one of the elbows hit the pan and it sloshed over hot soup on her arm, and she suffered second-degree burns. And so, in my opinion, now with our safety cookware, there's no reason why things should be sitting, simmering, unsecured. In reality, we're relying on gravity to hold that cookware there. And we all have our experiences with cookware sliding, or just having that fear in the back of our minds of keeping kids away and everything away from the cooktop.
Yeah, so it's more than it just preventing it like from a tip over, but like you said, it won't even be able to get bumped and slide to create that inertia for that splash or that slosh. That's really interesting.
Exactly. Our cookware essentially becomes a part of that appliance. And so if that appliance tipped over, then the cookware would, but it stays put.
Yeah, that's great, Eric. That's great.
I've been thinking since while we've been talking on this podcast about all the companies we've interviewed, and it's been hundreds. And I think it's fair to say that most of the products we talk to the owners about are like nice to have, make life easier type products. But I really feel like this is a product that is a necessity almost. Like you said, it's like a seatbelt. I have both grandkids and I have parents that are getting older, and both of them sometimes come RVing with us. The older folks, you worry about like shaking and unsteadiness and falling and hitting that pan and knocking it over. Or with the little kids, like you said, reaching up and grabbing something. I really love this idea, and I think this is going to be a successful product just because it's not a nice to have. It really is a necessity when you think about it. With that being said, what are we missing? What haven't we talked about that you think we need to mention?
Gosh, I think just what you just said is seeing it is believing. If you can go to the website, watch the videos, make up your own decision. And as I mentioned earlier, all of us parents have this fear out there, and we've just been cooking that way for so long. That's just been how we've done it. We didn't have any other options, and other than to turn the handle sideways. And it's interesting, if you Google search Bugs Bunny and cooking, there's a commercial that the Shriners Foundation did. My friend sent it to me after I told him about the product. 1982. I think around there it was put out, and it's Bugs Bunny talking about kitchen safety for parents. And at the very end, it talks about turning the handle in sideways because boiling hot water. And I was like, gosh, this has been a problem for so long, probably ever since we started cooking up on ranges. That fear crept into our minds because it's a safety issue. And just like anything new, it's going to take time. It's going to take that extra step for customers and users to click in the safety stem and then drop that down. But like I said earlier, my hope is that this becomes the norm in all cooking. And whenever we see a cookware that doesn't lock in securely, we just think about an old car that doesn't have seatbelts. And you think back like, gosh, can you believe we used to cook like that?
Thanks so much for coming on and allowing us to help you get the word out. We would love to have you back on in like a year to see where the company is at and to keep people informed that your product is out there and available, and really encourage people to take it as a serious thing that they need to add to their RV. And who knows, maybe at that point you'll be having some supplies that are ready for traditional in-home style ranges as well.
Absolutely. I'd be honored to come back. And once again, thank you guys for creating this platform for people like myself, and come on and just talk to you guys where the product was thought of initially, developed, and where we are now. It's been a great opportunity for us. So thank you guys for having me on. And I would love to come back and give you guys an updated report a year from now.
Well, that wraps up another Beyond the Wheel episode. A big thank you to Eric for joining us and giving us a behind the scenes look at Angel Guard Cookware. It's always fun hearing the story behind a project, especially when it comes from someone trying to solve a real problem that so many RVers face. If you'd like to learn more about Angel Guard Cookware, we'll have the links in the show notes so you can check it out for yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and share it with your friends. This really helps us continue bringing you conversations with the people creating the products and innovations shaping the RV industry. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Beyond the Wheel.